Hi all, today we are going to discuss about 3-phase midpoint 6 pulse diode converter which is called as M6. M stands for the midpoint and 6 pulses are produced for each cycle. That's why it is called as M6 connection, and this is also called as 6-phase half wave rectifier. So how this will be constructed? Let us see the basic first. So after that we will proceed further for the analysis. So once you understand the basics, it will be very easy to understand the concept. So let us take the primary is connected in delta. So primary side delta connection, I have made the connection like this. So dot notation is used to represent the direction of the EMF induced or the current passes. So this I am representing by phase A. So we have already seen in the transformers playlist, so how to do the connections for 3-phase transformer. So I am briefly discussing here. If you want to know in detail, you can please refer to transformer playlist. So always we have to take the phase sequence like this, A, B, C when you are making the winding. So A dot is here, so B will be here, this is my B phase, and C dot will be here, C phase. So from the dot I am taking my output, so this is my C phase. From the B phase dot I am taking my output, so this is B, and A I am taking the output terminal, so this is A. This is my input. So now coming to the output side, the phase winding will be drawn in parallel to this one because similar type of EMF will be induced. So what I am doing, I am dividing the secondary side winding into two parts. That means I have divided the phase A that is produced into secondary side into two parts. So again the dot notation will remain same in the secondary, so this is same. So secondary side I am representing with the small letter, so this one I am representing by A1 and this terminal I am representing by A2. You can remember here, you can see that A we are taking the output from the dot, whereas A2 we are taking from the opposite side. So automatically if any instant if A1 is positive, A2 will be more negative. A2 will be 180 degrees opposite to A1 at any instant because it is in opposite polarity. So now coming to the B phase I am drawing in parallel to this one. Again that I am dividing into two parts. Again the center I am combining together with the A center. So again B also I am taking the dot. So this is my B1 and again dot will be here. This is my B2. Again same thing is the case B. So same thing is the case C. C I am drawing parallel to this C1. So this will be like this. So center point I am combining together. Again dot is here. So dot will be here. So this is my C1 and this is my C2. This is my C1 and C2. So in this way, what is the advantage of this one? So if you are drawing the phasor diagram for ABC, generally we know the phasor diagram of ABC will be like that because A1, B1, C1 are resembling my input dot notation. That means I am taking the output from the dot only or output terminal from the dot only. So that I am taking as reference. This is my value of VA1. This is my value of VB1 and this is my VC1. Agree with me? So now coming to the second terminal, that is A2, because A2 you can see instead of dot I am taking the output from the second terminal. So the polarity of this one will be opposite to this one. This is my VA2. Similarly B2 will be opposite to this. This is VB2. Similarly C also will be opposite to this. This is my VC2 and this is my neutral point, the point where we have combined all together. So we know the phase shift between two adjacent phases will be equal to 120 degrees. Now because of dividing the phases in this manner, now what is happening? The phase shift between two adjacent windings is now decreased to 60 degrees. And what is the sequence order now we are getting? Because in the 3-phase the sequence order will be A, B, C. Here the sequence order I am getting as A1, then C2, then B1, A2, C1, B2. So in this order the output waveform will come. So output waveform, that means initially A will get the maximum value, then C2 will get the maximum value, then B1 will get, then A2 will get, then C1 and then B2. That means now the phase displacement between adjacent windings will be 60 degrees only instead of 120 degrees. I hope up to here the basic is clear to you. So let us proceed further. So if you want the complete detail again how to draw the diagram and other things, you can please refer to my transformers playlist. I have explained in complete detail there. So I am summarizing here. If I am taking my VA1 as my reference, I can write as VMP sin omega t. So VA2 will be 180 degrees lagging behind this one. So VMP sin of omega t minus 180. So this is VA2. So now coming to VB1, VB1 will be lagging behind A1 by 120 degrees. That's why it is VMP sin of omega t minus 120. So VB2 will be lagging behind this VB1 by 180 degrees. So that's why I have subtracted 180 degrees from this angle. So it will become omega t minus 300. So this is my VB2. So from here to here, what is the angle? It is 300 degrees. Or we can tell that from here to here, if you are going in this direction, it will be 60 degrees leading or 300 degrees lagging with respect to A1. So now coming to the C1, VC1 is lagging behind the phase A1 by 240 degrees. So it is 240 degrees. So if you want to calculate the value of VC2, VC2 will be, you have to subtract 180 degrees from this. If you subtract 180 degrees from this, because once we complete one cycle, we can delete that cycle 360 degrees. So it will become equal to VMP sine omega t minus 60 degrees. Or we can draw from this phasor also, VC2 is lagging behind VA1 by 60 degrees. So we get omega t minus 60 degrees. So if you want to see the waveforms, how they will come, this is my waveform of VA1 and the waveform of VA2 will be opposite to this one. So that's why I have represented with the dots with the same color, black color. So you can see this is my VA2. So similarly, VB is lagging behind VA by 120 degrees. This is my VB1. So VB2 will be 180 degrees opposite to VB1. So I have represented with the dots. So this is my VB2. Same thing is the case for VC1. VC1 is lagging by 240 degrees. So this is my value of VC1. You can see this red color. So VC2 is 180 degrees opposite to VC1. So I have drawn 180 degrees opposite to VC1 with dots. So you can see here, total out of 360 degrees, each one of these phases will be more than the second phase for a duration of 60 degrees when compared to previously 120 degrees for the case of 3-pulse converter, which we discussed in last 2 lectures. So now we can see here this VB2, initially VB2 value is greater than the remaining, because we know when you are connecting the diodes through the respective, starting from this A1, I am numbering them as a diode D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6. I have connected all the terminals together. From this common terminal to the neutral point, I have connected my load. So let us assume the load current is passing like this, because diode will allow only in one direction. So when it comes like this, this is my direction of I0. So automatically voltage drop across the load or the resistance will be plus and minus here. This is my V0. So we can tell that which will conduct your output. Out of these diodes, whichever anode terminal is more positive when compared to remaining voltages, that will be conducting automatically. So you can see out of these waveforms, so VB2 is having the maximum value. So automatically VB2 is connected to which diode here? So VB2 is connected to diode D6. So diode D6 will conduct here. So after some time, what will conduct? VA1. So where is VA1? VA1 is connected to diode D1. So D1 will conduct. Then followed by D2, D3, D4, D5, D6 and again D1, D2, because in this order they will follow. Or we can tell, if you are removing this D6, you can see they are in serial order. They are conducting like this. Getting it? So from this I can tell my output voltage will be when diode D6 is conducting. When diode D6 is conducting, so you can see here, this is here at this point the terminal voltage will be equal to VB2, because the voltage across the remaining diodes will be the voltage in the anode side minus voltage in the cathode side. Let us take for example voltage across the diode D1. Voltage across diode D1 will be equal to VA1 minus V0, because V0, this plus is connected here, right? VA1 minus V0. So initially the voltage is V0 is VB2. So the voltage across the diode D1 will be equal to VA1 minus VB2. So VA1 minus VB2 means initially VA1 is equal to 0, VB2 is more. So this difference will come, but it will be negative VA1 minus VB2. We have to take opposite polarity of VB2 and add to this. So gradually that difference will goes on decreasing. Here difference becomes equal to 0. After this you can see that diode A is positive with respect to VB2. So automatically it will get forward biased and it will start conducting. So now coming to the diode D6. So diode D6 voltage will be equal to VB2 minus V0. Now output voltage is VA1. So automatically it will get reverse biased and it will turn off. So in that way the adjacent diodes will turn on and turn off automatically using the natural commutation. So you can see that output is repeating after every 60 degrees, it is continuing. So I am taking as the VA1 voltage as a reference. So you can see that VA1 is conducting from this much duration to this much duration. That means it is conducting from 60 degrees to 120 degrees. So from this I can calculate my average value of the output voltage will be, that is repeating every 60 degrees, 1 by pi by 3 integration from pi by 3 to 2 pi by 3 it is Vmp sin omega t d omega t, you will get it as 3 Vmp by pi. Similarly, RMS value also it is repeating, so automatically I have substituted, you got it as 0.9558 times of Vmp. Now coming to how much duration each diode is conducting. So each diode is conducting for a duration of 360 degrees divided by number of diodes, agree with me? That means each diode is conducting for a duration of 60 degrees only. So for example, if you are taking ID1 conducts from 60 degrees to 120 degrees only. So that is only that much duration it is conducting out of 360 degrees. So automatically we can tell that average value of the current supplied from the source will be very less because it is only conducting for 60 degrees. So now coming to the peak inverse voltage across any diode, I have told you the peak inverse voltage across the diode will be the voltage of that particular diode in the anode side minus the output voltage. So if you are plotting the output voltage at this, because from this instant to this instant, you can see here which diode is conducting. So from this instant to this instant, Vc2 is coming at your output. So voltage across diode 1 will be equal to Va1 minus Vc2. Again, after this instant, Vb is conducting. So it will be equal to Va1 minus VB1. So after that VA2 is conducting, because VA2 is 180 degrees opposite to VA1. So maximum possible difference comes there. When the VA2 is maximum positive, then VA1 will be maximum negative. So that difference will come equal to 2 times of the phase value. So let me explain this from this waveform. When VA2 is the positive peak, then in that duration VA1 is the negative peak. So what is the difference between these two? It will be equal to 2 times the phase value. Agree with me? 2 times the maximum phase value. So that is the maximum possible peak inverse voltage that can come. That is the maximum peak inverse voltage. So that's why we can tell that peak inverse voltage will be equal to 2 times of the maximum phase value of the voltage. So now coming to RMS value of the output current will be equal to RMS value of output voltage by resistance. We can take this one. So this will be 0.9558 times of Vmp divided by R. Or we can tell that Vmp by R I am taking as Imp. This will be 0.9558 times of Imp. So now coming to the source current. So source current, I told you, out of 360 degrees, it is only conducting from 60 degrees to 120 degrees. So I have taken 60 to 120 Imp sin omega t whole square d omega t whole to the power of 1 by 2. If you calculate it, you will get it as 0.39 times of Imp. So now coming to the ripple voltage. Ripple voltage is the RMS value of the voltage square minus average voltage square, because ideally I want my output voltage should be pure DC, but practically it is not DC. So how much other than DC components are available, that can be calculated from using this formula, that is RMS value square minus the DC component square. That gives the remaining unwanted harmonic component. So that is represented by ripple voltage or VR. So if you substitute the values, you will get it as 0.0408 times of Vmp. Now voltage ripple factor is the ratio of RMS value of the output voltage divided by average value of the output voltage. You are getting the ripple voltage will be 4.3% only. You can see that ripple voltage has decreased drastically. Voltage ripple factor has decreased. Now coming to the form factor, it is the ratio of RMS value divided by average value. Ideally I want RMS value should be equal to ideal value, because I want pure DC at your output. The more near it is approaching to 1, so better will be the performance of your rectifier. Generally it will be greater than 1, it should approach near to 1. If you substitute the formula, you will get it as 1.009. You can see it has approached very near to 1. That is the advantage of the 6 pulse converter. Now coming to the output DC power, because ideally I want my output should be pure DC. So that power I am calculating as, under pure DC or ideal condition, it will be the DC component voltage multiplied by DC component of current. So when I substituted, I got as 0.912 Vmp into Imp. But actually the AC component is coming at your output along with DC. So total power will be equal to VOR multiplied by IOR. That is 0.9558 square into Vmp into Imp. Or we can tell the rectifier efficiency is a ratio of PDC by PAC. So that will be equal to 0.9982, or we are getting rectification efficiency of about 99.82%. You can see it is approaching very near to 100%. That is the advantage of this one. Now coming to volt ampere rating of the transformer, as there are 6 phases in your output, because 6 windings are there. So 6 multiplied by voltage produced by each winding, that is RMS value of the voltage, multiplied by RMS value of the supplied by each winding. So this will be equal to 6 times of RMS value of voltage of each winding is VMP divided by root 2. RMS value of current supplied by each winding, we have calculated IS. It is only conducting for 60 degrees out of 360. When we calculated the RMS, we got it as 0.39 times of IMP. This will be 1.655 VMP into IMP. So from this I can calculate transformer utilization factor will be equal to, because it is actually designed to supply the DC component only, but it is supplying more than this DC component, that gives the transformer utilization factor. This will be PDC divided by volt ampere rating of the transformer. If you substitute, you are getting as 55.1%. So now compared to the 3 pulse converter, we have observed that the ripple factor is decreased, form factor is increased, and the rectifier efficiency also increased drastically. But the transformer utilization factor is decreased when compared to 3 pulse converter. The reason is each winding is conducting only for 60 degrees compared to that of 120 degrees in 3 pulse converter. That is a major limitation. Or we can tell that for a given rating, you can see here in this case, because the output voltage whatever we are measuring, that is a voltage of A1 only, or we can tell that for the complete each winding the voltage will be, because double the winding is required in this case, so automatically the cost increases more in this case. But there is an advantage of this one. The advantage of this one is in one cycle when A1 is conducting, the current direction will be like this. You agree with me? So when the current direction is like this, so this should be supplied by the primary, because primary should counterbalance this MMF produced, so it will produce the flux in this direction. Getting it? So after some time A2 will be conducting. So when A2 is conducting, how the A2 will conduct? A2 will conduct in this direction, right? So you can see A2 is conducting away from the dot, or if you are resembling this in the primary, as the current is leaving the dot here, the current will enter the dot here, because you can see the current is opposite direction we have to take. So we can tell that this is my direction. You have to take just the opposite direction to this one. So you can see here in one cycle, for some time the current is passing downwards, for some time the current is passing upwards. So whenever the current is passing downwards, the output current is nearly DC, so automatically it will get magnetized in one particular direction. Within the same cycle, for some time it is passing in opposite direction, so it is having the magnetized as well as demagnetized. Or what is the resultant effect of this? So net resultant effect is your core doesn't go into saturation. Whereas in the case of 3 pulse converter or star transformer, I have told you that the core goes into deep saturation. That is a disadvantage. To avoid that, we have to go for zigzag star transformer connection. But in this case, this transformer will not have the effect of the saturation of the core. So when the saturation of the core is not there, automatically iron losses will be less. When the iron losses are less, so automatically efficiency of your transformer will increase. So no need to take proper precaution or over precaution about the core design of the transformer. Again, what is this DC component, how it is magnetizing? If you want complete details, again please refer to my transformers playlist. I have discussed this concept in detail there, because this is one of the interview question which I faced in one of my interviews. This is very important question, so please check it and try to learn this concept. I hope how the 3-phase midpoint 6 pulse diode rectifier or 6-phase half-wave diode rectifier is completely clear to you. If you still have any queries, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. I will answer to your queries from there. Thank you very much.